This first question involves creating a reset signal for the signal blocker. All right, so the signal blocker is one of the function nodes where the function of blocking signals has a reset capability, right? And it takes signals from other solvers to reset the signal blocker and some of the other function nodes that have resets. So the question is adding another reset signal when these Renko bars have wicks, right? So you can see this screenshot, we have a blue rectangle around a couple of these median type Renko bars, and they have some long wicks on them. So the question is, how to identify these Renko bars with extended wicks, and then we want to generate a signal with these extended wicks that can then be plugged into the signal blocker to reset the signal blocker. So, and also what I'll add on here is, so Christopher has already managed to build a reset signal when there's a reversal bar. So I'll just recreate that real quickly as well. So whenever the rank goes reverse direction, that is one of the resets that Christopher has for the signal blocker. And he also wants to add a reset when there's a long wick on these Renko bars as well. All right. So that'll be our first question for today. So let's see here. All right, so let me reset my chart. And I need to change to a Renko type bar. Let's see. So for speed, I'm just going to use the Pro Renko here, but you could use the Unirenko as well. But the Pro Renko is just a lot faster to set up, so I'm just going to throw that guy in there. All right, so let's see what we're looking for. Let's just say we're looking for bars like this with these long wicks to be our kind of reset bar conditions here. All right, so let's get BloodHound opened. So, all right, we're going to excuse me, we're going to use the button on the top here. And the first thing we want to do is put a name in here. So let's see, we already have, we'll take last week's workshop and I'll just modify the date on it. And there we go. All right, so we have today's workshop file named, so we're ready to go. And I'm going to start working on the logic board here. So let's make a new logic board here. So let's see. All right, so there we go. So we're going to build a reset signal for wicked Renko bars. So just to kind of recap the question again. So questions for generating a reset signal for the signal blocker. So you can see the signal blocker has a reset connection point here. And what that reset does, what resetting the signal blocker does, is it stops the blocking of signals, right? So the signal blocker, its function is to block signals after the first signal gets through, and you're going to block it for X number of bars. So if I put 50 in here, right, the signal blocker is going to block for 50 bars, but you may want to stop blocking before the 50 bars expires, right? So you have all of these different reset capabilities here to reset the blocking capability, or basically the resetting turns off the blocking capability of the signal blocker. So, all right, so that's what our goal is. And as mentioned before, part of the question involved generating a reset signal on the reversal bars here like that. So that part has already been done by Christopher, but I'm just going to throw it in here because it is a part of the question as well. So resetting at those reversal bars, you know, for the Renko type bars, let's see, we can just use the inflection solver. So we're just looking for an inflection in price. So we're going to change the input type to price, just like so. There we go. So, right, so we can see we have some signals here whenever we get the first reversal bar. Right, so there's a bunch of reversal bars there. Right, so that part has already been done. So next, let's focus on the real question here, which is identifying these bars with wicks on them. And I'd say that there's multiple ways that we could do this. We could compare the open price to, you know, the high of the bar, or we could, you know, for an up bar, we could compare the open of the bar to the low price, right? And so we could actually kind of check to make sure that there's a certain distance between the open and the low of the bar, or the open and the high of the bar. You know, so if we wanted to do it that way, which is probably a little more complicated than needs to be, but you know, if you wanted to be more precise, you could use the comparison solver to do that, and you could just compare, you know, the open price to the high price and the open price to the low price. But since you know, since the screenshot that was sent in is using Renko bars, we can take a more simpler approach, and we could just look at the overall length of the bar, right? So the longer the wick is, the longer the length of the bar is. And so we could go an easier route and just use the bar length to identify those wicks, those wicked bars, I should say. So let's plug that in. And all right, so we have a minimum and a max length here. So I'm going to go, instead of using ATRs, I'm going to change it to ticks. All right, because Renko bars are based on a tick distance or a tick length. And so let's identify. Let's see. I'm going to guess that those wicked bars are about 7 ticks long or so. And so, yeah, so we can see that you can kind of see the racing stripes, or identifying some of them. To make it clearer, I'm going to change the mode. Instead of using an average mode, let's see which one we want to use here. Largest, no. Let's see here. It's been, sorry. It's been a while since I've used this bar length solver. So we're going to set the minimum and the max to 7 ticks to get rid of the fuzzy logic. There we go. So actually the period mode is not being used because our period is set to 1. Right? We're only using a period of 1. But this period section here basically kind of will average out the bar length. So it's a way of averaging bar lengths out. If you need to kind of smooth out bar lengths for some reason, that's what the period section here will do, right? But we're using a period of 1, so there is no averaging, right? You have to use a period of 2 or higher before you get any kind of averaging going on there. So anyway, so we'll just kind of ignore the period for now. so the key here was to set the min and the max to both the same distance, and that removed the fuzzy logic part of BloodHound here. And so now we can see, right, this bar is identified, this bar is identified. You also notice that, look, even the reversal bars are identified as well. So, it could be that the bar length may be the only solver that's needed. The price inflection may not be needed, but again, it depends on your Renko bar. Not all Renko bars are the same, and some of them, may have different length wicks on these reversal bars. So you'll really have to kind of test this out with the type of Renko bar that you're using here. So, also I noticed, let's see, this bar here was picked up. It does have a wick. It's a little shorter wick. So let's say if we wanted to remove that bar. So, if we wanted to exclude this bar, so I'll just kind of cross it out there. If we want to exclude it, then what we could do is just increase the tick length here. There we go. So if I go to 8 ticks, now we can see this bar here. This bar is no longer identified as having a long enough wick. And let's see here. Oh, and it took off these bars too. Let's see. So, I guess those bars are the same length. Yeah, okay. Well, it is what it is. A little bit of an illusion there. Okay, so let's bar length, and I'll just put in here, 7 ticks. A 7 tick bar length, or I'll just kind of abbreviate this actually. There we go. 7 tick bar length. So, and we can see that the bar length outputs long and short signals. So that'll pretty much work with any reset conditions that are turned on with the signal blocker here. So the core would be to stick your bar length, connect the bar length solver to the reset connector of the signal blocker. So if you did need to also use the price inflection along with the bar length solver, then what we would need is an OR node, right? So we can take either the bar length or the price inflection, either or condition, is what's wanted here, and then we could connect that to the reset. Right. I'll connect that to the result node there. All right. Well, that was a pretty simple question there. So all right. So Jack's question is, when using Raven Live, can you change your BloodHound logic, or do you need to disable first? So, in practical, I said, in actuality, yes, you can. Okay, just a moment here. Let me load a BloodHound template into Raven. If you're changing logic templates within Raven, you do need to disable before you reload another logic template. So, for some reason, Ninja's not able to disable this parameter here. So you can see that you can actually open up BloodHound because NinjaTrader is not able to disable that parameter. But you notice that all these other parameters are disabled, right? So, the fact that Ninja hasn't disabled, the template parameter doesn't mean that you should go in here and change your logic templates without disabling Raven first. So if you're going to change logic templates, you should always disable the strategy first, right? That just allows NinjaTrader to properly reset all the indicators, and all the, it allows NinjaTrader to properly reset BloodHound and all the indicators within BloodHound, right? There's this whole reset process that NinjaTrader goes through. So, so you do want to disable your strategy before changing any logic templates here. So let me just load something up here. I'll just load up this crossover test one, just so we have something loaded up. All right. And then we'll enable it here. So, all right. So here's what I was trying to get to. So you'll notice that, right, there's an orange colored BloodHound button up on here, right? And you can see it has the crossover test 2 BloodHound file that I just loaded into Raven. So we can open that up, and it allows you to do whatever work you want to do in here. So so yes, technically you can go in here and make changes, and changes, and you'll see those changes live, on the chart and everything. But if you do make changes like that, one thing I would recommend, so if you're working with things live, making changes, live to your BloodHound template, I would recommend that you reload the chart. Use F5 to reload the chart. Again, that just allows NinjaTrader to go through a proper reset process. So just keep in mind that NinjaTrader never intended to have their charts updated live like BloodHound can do. It was not, NinjaTrader did not actually build that in as a proper process. So we are using some undocumented stuff, and we found out that we can do this, and it works 99.99% of the time. But once you start dealing with a strategy situation, it's better to be a little safer, and follow through on the, and follow through on resetting the charts that NinjaTrader likes to do. So so what I recommend is that if you are going to go in here and work on your logic and manipulate it live inside of Raven. So remember, this BloodHound is running inside of Raven, right? So so it's kind of like a second derivative. So BloodHound running inside of Raven is kind of like a second derivative, right? And so therefore, there could be some unknown things that might come about, through NinjaTrader. So if you're going to manipulate stuff live in here, definitely, close the BloodHound up and reload your chart, just so that NinjaTrader can go through a proper reset process, or technically it's called an initialization process. So NinjaTrader should properly reinitialize the whole chart and all the indicators running on the chart for that to work properly. So, all right. And yeah, so again, just to reiterate, so changing files, changing BloodHound templates, I do not recommend doing that. There are some weird things that happen. So like if I decide to go up and load like last week's workshop, right? BloodHound will do that just fine. And you can see everything looks good on the chart. Raven is going to tell you, hit the F5 key so he can reload BloodHound. So we'll reload the chart like so. And everything looks good, but not everything isn't always good. So I don't recommend that you change the file name, or I don't suggest that you reload a different BloodHound template inside of Raven. There are some weird things that happen from time to time when you do that. So the proper way to load a different BloodHound template into Raven is, we're going to go to strategies, and so the proper way to reload a BloodHound template file is to disable Raven first. Right, it's disable Raven first, and then go and load the new, load the different BloodHound template when Raven is disabled. Right, and then you can re-enable it, and things will Raven will function properly when you disable it and change your BloodHound templates. So let's see. All right, so Jack is saying he's trying to change the enter only when flat parameter in Raven. So so here it is. So under options, Jack is trying to change this. So you notice everything's grayed out, right? So as I was explaining in the beginning, NinjaTrader does not like strategies to be changed on the fly, so it disables your strategy. It's also a little bit of a safety feature as well, because remember, strategies are designed to run on live accounts, and so accidentally going in and manipulating something could have disastrous results on your live account, changing your strategy. So strategies have some safeguards, such as this where the parameters are disabled and other things, by NinjaTrader. So if you want to change your strategy parameters, you have to disable your strategy first, and then you can go in and change the setting there, and then re-enable it. And there we go. So now enter only when flat has been changed. So Ken, since we're on the topic of Raven, Ken is asking, is there a good place to get some information on setting up Raven templates? Yep, you bet. So let me close this. So you'll notice probably the easiest way is if you already have Raven up, you'll notice there's a little help link right here. We can click on that, and that'll bring up your web browser, and you can see that will take you to the Raven page there. So if we scroll down about halfway down the page, there is a video here. So this video is very thorough and covers just about everything about Raven. So even the topics that I just covered now is also included in this video. So there is a section in this video where I talk about little miscellaneous things to know about, NinjaTrader and strategies, such as what I just kind of covered about disabling the strategy when making changes and things like that, and disabling when you're reloading a new BloodHound template. So yeah, so this video is very thorough. Just kind of take your time to review it. There's a lot of information to learn when using NinjaTrader strategies. Right? Let's see. The further down the page, there's also some links here to kind of some links here to for to make it easier to find the training that you should have, that you should know about NinjaTrader when running strategies. So if we keep scrolling down here, like back testing in particular. So NinjaTrader does all the back testing. Raven is not responsible for doing the back testing results. The only thing that Raven does is it communicates with NinjaTrader and says, put on a trade on this bar, or Raven will say, take the trade off of this bar. And Raven will also, if you're using stop losses and profit targets within Raven, Raven will communicate the prices of those profit targets and stop losses. But once that information has been communicated to NinjaTrader, NinjaTrader does all the calculations after that point. And so there's kind of, there's quite, there's a little bit to learn about backtesting within NinjaTrader. So here's a bunch of quick links where we've just kind of consolidated all of that information into one area, so you don't have to search all through NinjaTrader's documentation to find it. So let's see here. If you're using the strategy analyzer, there's some things to know about the strategy analyzer when using Raven and BloodHound and even Blackbird within the strategy analyzer. So the strategy analyzer has it behaves differently than the charts. So there are a few things that need to be done differently when using the strategy analyzer, right? So let's see, anything else? I'm just going to scan through here and see if there's anything else kind of noteworthy. So there's another thing most people don't know about NinjaTrader, which is, here we go. Okay, so under trade management, right, within Raven you can use an ATM, right? So Raven has the ability to utilize an ATM to manage your your stop losses and whatnot. But as it says right there, special notes: NinjaTrader can only back test an ATM using market replay data, right, or in live forward testing, right? So critical things to know about Ninja. Ninja cannot back test their ATM on static charts. You have to use market replay, or you can forward test using a live data connection. So let's see. There's at the top of the page, there's some good information about starting and ending Raven. Basically, this is more about starting and stopping strategies in NinjaTrader. So Raven doesn't really have anything special about it, in its needs for starting and stopping. This is more NinjaTrader based requirements here. So again, if you haven't read through this, this is all important information. There's no fluff. So guys, I don't put any fluff in my documentation. I'm straight to the point, and I put in stuff that's needed to be known. I don't build up the documentation with a bunch of fluff and descriptive sentences. So, you know, everything in here is important information to know. So, okay, well, I think I've kind of carried on long enough here. So let me see if there's other questions on here. Let's see. Jackson's asking, is there a video to show you how to set up for market replay on Raven? No. Market replay is a NinjaTrader function. You know, so we don't, our documentation doesn't get into NinjaTrader training. You know, NinjaTrader's already got all kinds of great videos and, you know, documentation on their sites that you can refer to. You know, again, there's market replay is just a data connection. So once you have your data connection set up, in other words, once you got market replay set up, ready to go, then all you need to do is just load Raven on the chart afterwards. So just kind of, you know, treat the market replay as a standard data connection. So just kind of one thing I have noticed with the market replay is let's see if I can find a see if I can find a screenshot here. Okay, here we go. All right, so here's a little screenshot, right, of the market replay window here, the interface. So one thing I have noticed is that when you're, you know, if you ever need to rewind the market replay, move the slider control, always hit the pause button first. So if you just grab the slider while it's playing and move it, NinjaTrader seems to mess up a lot of stuff on the chart, and one thing that it affects greatly is strategies. A lot of times it'll just dump the strategy right off the chart randomly. So I've noticed that if you hit pause, it almost always, every single time, once you hit pause, you can move the slider around without losing indicators or the strategies on your chart. So just hit pause before you move the slider around anywhere. So this is one thing I've noticed that seems to help a tremendous amount. So yeah, I still don't see any questions coming in here, so we'll wrap it up. All right. If I don't see you tomorrow in the Friday Blackbird workshop, then I'll say have a great weekend. You know, spring's here. It's time to get outside and enjoy the warmer weather. So, all right, guys, have a good weekend, and I hope to see you guys next week. And keep your questions coming. All righty, bye-bye, guys.